In this video, we're going to be talking about how to escape the hamster wheel of having to rely on word of mouth and referrals to run your entire business. How to escape the feast or famine cycle. Now, first, who this video for? Well, this is specifically for B2B high-ticket service firms, particularly M&A firms and commercial lenders. And I am Alan Woods, the founder of Woods Ascension. We've driven over $26 million in results for our clients, case studies on our channel. But let's dive in, shall we? So feast or famine is not bad luck. And what most operators in this space seem to, what they seem to misjudge is that random revenue is typically not random. Random revenue happens as a result of having random inputs somewhere along the supply chain. Somewhere in this So what we have to do is take a step back and analyze the system and ask ourselves, okay, looking at revenue production as a pipeline, as a conveyor belt, where are there chinks in this funnel, in this process that are causing the natural outcome of lack of revenue? And once you see that this is simply a math problem, everything else solves itself. So for most firms, what it comes down to is, depending on the size of the firm, it comes down to them relying on a couple of borrowers or a couple of clients that are consistent, or a couple of referrals that keep coming from the same clients. And the beauty here is that it feels great until it doesn't. Like, yes, you are doing great because you've done well enough in your work to get your people to either come back or to send more people your way, which is amazing. But it's not a strategy for actually growing and scaling a business. And so what we need to recognize here is that in order to turn this into something consistent, something that is actually high leverage and growable, is that we don't need to work harder. And this is kind of the trap that we can fall into, is that oftentimes what got us to this place of having a strong firm isn't what will take us to the next level of having a scalable firm, of having a growing firm. And just doing solid work isn't enough. And the way that I oftentimes like to look at this is like, imagine a guy who is young and he wants to get a woman. He wants to get a girl. And yes, he can go to the gym. Yes, he can do other things. But you can take a guy who's going to the gym and working hard at a job and doing all these things to improve himself, but he does nothing socially. That's guy A. And guy B is a guy who doesn't go to the gym, who doesn't look that good, who doesn't have anything really going for himself, but he just goes out and talks to women all day. And again, this is a crude example, but who do you think is going to get more to get more opportunities to have the girl that they want? The guy B. And it's because he's doing the thing. He's doing the thing that produces the result. He has optimized the funnel. Now, obviously, in a business scenario, we have to optimize every level of the funnel, not just the volume, but everything else too, the quality. But the picture captures the idea here. It's about your inputs. And if your pipeline is dependent on things that you don't control, your revenue becomes a coin flip that you have no control over. It's just completely random. And so referrals can feel safe, but they are absolutely not. They're not predictable. They're not consistent. You don't know when they're going to come. It's a dangerous strategy. And if you're a lender, the month that your 1 or 2 repeat borrowers stop needing your services, well, your income drops to zero. Your funded volume drops to zero. And it's the same with M&A firms. If your referrals stop coming in, your growth is capped. And so the fix here isn't to just get rid of referrals and word of mouth. No, it's stupid. It's to instead focus on adding inputs that we can control. And so what that looks like is there's only 3 core ways in any business to drive more results, to drive more more customers. It's through ads, it's through content, and it's through outreach. Those are the three mechanisms that exist. Yes, there's other ones, trade shows, other things like that. But at the most first principles level, these are the things. These are the buckets. Outreach, trade shows fall into outreach. Most other mechanisms that we can think of, they fall into one of these three in some shape or form, okay? So, with these three engines, they each have their own pros and cons. Their own areas where they perform well and areas where they come very short. So with ads, the cost is high, but the time involved is very low and the speed to results is very fast. You can turn them on today and have people talking to you on your calendar tomorrow. Very quick, but they're expensive. Content, YouTube, LinkedIn, et cetera. Well, the cost is very low, but it takes a lot of time, and the speed to results, it has a massive lag effect. It can take between 12 to 18 months on a typical basis to really drive a consistent stream of inbound prospects. So if you want leads now, that doesn't fix the situation. Okay, well, outreach, this is number 3, reaching out to people cold via LinkedIn, via Instagram, via email, et cetera, et cetera. The cost here is very low. The time involved is not that much, particularly if you have it systemized. And the speed to results is still quite quick. You can see results within a week or two. Now, the key thing here is that there is no best mechanism. It's all about what fits into your constraints of your budget, your time, and how fast you need results. And so the key thing to consider here is that businesses don't grow because they're good. Yes, having a good product or service is an important part of the puzzle, 1000%, but they grow because they're findable. And when you do these 3 things, you become findable. Now, where most businesses fall short is that they do their business, but they don't do these 3 things. And these 3 things, getting clients is 70 to 90% of the work in most businesses. And these 3 things get clients. So if you're not doing these 3 things, you're not findable and your business stalls. You don't grow. So with that being the case, for most firms, outreach tends to be a fairly strong entry point out of these 3 categories. And the reason for that is because, again, content, the amount of time required to get the feedback loop on content is quite long. It can take such a long time to even see if your messaging is appealing to your audience, let alone to get your audience coming in to book calls with you. It can take a very long time. And with ads, you can just push money out there and have it disappear into the nether. So the beauty with outreach is that you can go to market immediately for an inexpensive price, but the feedback loop is quick enough that you're able to see if what you're offering is actually set up and structured in a way that appeals to a cold audience. Because again, warm audiences, referrals and word of mouth are extremely different from cold audiences. And if you are trying to scale your firm, you're going to have to branch out beyond warm audiences and get some cold prospects. So we have to have an offer structure that appeals to those cold prospects. Outreach allows us to test that, to test our thesis immediately. We don't need to wait 12 to 18 months to see if they're actually interested in what we're offering. We can see tomorrow. and that's the beauty here. But the beauty is also that outreach is very fast and it's very inexpensive. Now, there is a catch though. The catch is that when it comes to outreach, it is the hardest of these 3 to run effectively. Because if you're doing outreach on Instagram, for example, you can end up in the in the archived box where they have to go over there actively to see if someone's messaging them. Essentially the spam box for Instagram. If you're doing it on LinkedIn, well, you only have 50 emails a month. If you're doing it on via email, well, most outreach emails end up in spam for good reason. So without the right systems, you can put a lot of time into this and still get absolutely no results to show for it. And particularly with email, you can also invest money into it by buying domains and inboxes and torch your main domain's reputation, or destroy your other inbox's reputation and just end up in spam anyways. So the issue, again, is that most firms who try outreach, they don't understand the technical systems beneath all of this, and so they don't run it well and they get terrible results. But when you can get these things right, outreach can become a very predictable, very controllable faucet that you can choose to turn on and off when you see fit. And a lot of people miss this as well, is that these things, none of these systems exist alone. These are interconnected feedback systems that go into one another. What do I mean? Well, you have a great service within your business. You do great work for your clients. Awesome. So when you start doing outreach, whether it be through email or whatever it may be, and you get new prospects and new clients through outreach, well, guess what? You are now getting more happy clients who then come back to you or who then send more referrals your way. So again, the enemy here is not referrals, it's not word of mouth, it is having to rely completely on those. But when we have these new channels in place, these consistent channels in place that we can choose to turn on and off, it feeds back into those powerful loops. So, long story short, getting a predictable flow of new borrowers or new mandates for your business, it's not about more hustle. It's not about just working harder. It's about building inputs that you can control. So anyways, if you are looking for help with growing your pipeline, we specialize in this specific system building for M&A firms and for commercial lenders. Also high ticket service firms as well, but particularly in the financial space. So if you need help, feel free to book a call down below. And on that call, we'll dive deep into how you're currently acquiring new clients, new mandates, new borrowers, and I'll break down where there seem to be kinks in your funnel and if and how we can help you to fix it. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.